Scotia, a regular season CFL game is set to kick off. Raymond Field at Acadia University, host of this year's Touchdown Atlantic, as the Argonauts and the Saskatchewan Roughriders get set to do battle. To say the atmosphere here is slightly electric would be a complete understatement. Gabe Burness alongside Davis Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stiegel. We will be here all game long, breaking it down at halftime. But right now, let's get you over to Raymond Field right behind us, enjoying the Canadian National Anthem.
Led by head coach Ryan Dinwiddie, Argos fans, please welcome your Toronto Argonauts! Ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the field this afternoon are 50 Canadian Armed Forces members, proudly displaying the large Canadian flag. And now we welcome today's ceremonial flag party from the Nova Scotia Highlanders of the Canadian Army. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, if you would please rise, if you're able, remove your hats and join Sergeant Cindy Scott of the Royal Canadian Air Force Band for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. Qu'à ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Sergeant Cindy Scott and all members.
It is the biggest party in Atlantic Canada today after a 3-year hiatus. Touchdown Atlantic is officially back. Kickoff coming up next. Alex Theodoro of North Vancouver, BC. This is your chance to win big thanks to Save on Foods' $1 million touchdown to win. If the kickoff is returned for a touchdown, you could win groceries for a year. If 2 are returned for touchdowns in this game, you could win $1 million. Let's get you to Rod Smith, the Glen Suitor.
And Kate, like you, like to echo that sentiment. Welcome everyone to a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Wolfville, Nova Scotia, a town of 4,000, bringing 10,000 fans in, many from other parts of the province to enjoy this game. Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Toronto Argonauts. You know, coming in, so it's like a football version of Field of Dreams. One highway coming in and seeing this gorgeous field here, and there is certainly a dream someday to bring a 10th team in the CFL to the Maritimes. It's been a great couple of days so far.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wolfville, Halifax, all of Atlantic Canada. Let's talk ground game in the tailbacks. Jamal Morrow, they're playing some smash mouth football in Saskatchewan. 946 all-purpose yards, coming off a big 145 offensive yards last week in the win for Saskatchewan. Andrew Harris, the starting tailback, had his best game as an Argo in their last game in the loss to Winnipeg. Andrew Harris just over 100 yards away from 10,000 career.
Ryan Dinwiddie, second year as head coach of the Argos, 9-5 last year and first in the East, off to a 1-2 start. They've only played 3 games. Craig Dickinson's Riders have played 5. A victory over the Ottawa Redblacks last week, but to say the least, a challenging time after the incident with Garrett Marino and everything that followed with the suspension. Boris Beatty will kick things off. Touchdown Atlantic 2022 is underway, going back to the new returner for the Riders, Mario Alford, ex-Alouette, and he breaks one to the left. And that is where Cody Fajardo and the Saskatchewan Roughriders will begin here in Wolfville.
Well, he's had success against the Toronto Argonauts in his career as a starter in Saskatchewan. In fact, 3-0 against Toronto. He's 4-1 this season, throwing for over 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. Still playing with that knee brace on the left leg.
17 of 22 last week against the Redblacks, and a tidy 231, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He had 4 passes that went for 25 yards or more in that game. 1st and 10. Riders at the 37 here at Raymond Field. Chris Edwards back and coming in. He's picked up, and it's Kean Schaefer-Baker sweeping out and well extended there by the Argo defense. As we look at the Rider offense, brought to you by Expedia.
Well, up front, Andrew Lauderdale is going to be head-to-head with Jagarrett Davis and Shane Ray for the Toronto Argonauts. Watch those matchups with the tackles in this one here this afternoon. And when you look in that backfield, Jamal Morrow has led the way, but Frankie Hickson has also contributed. He had 92 yards rushing, and Morrow last week 78 yards rushing. They really are becoming a fullback-led smash mouth type offense.
Gain of 2, Schaefer-Baker. We got early movement coming in. Chris Edwards, and flags come out. Edwards, as you heard in the pregame.
Offside. Toronto, number 6. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down. Making
his season debut after being suspended for an incident after the Eastern Final last year.
Well, that's a big ad to get Chris Edwards back in the lineup. I mean, veteran linebacker. But this is going to be a middle linebacker versus tailback game. I just have a feeling they're going to try and establish, both teams going to try and establish the run.
So it went from 2nd and 8 to 2nd and 3. Saskatchewan at their 44 now. And handing off is Jamal Morrow. And he gets the 1st down up to the 50.
Well, Jagarrett Davis is that rush end that I told you about with the matchup against Andrew Lauderdale and Natay Rogers. We'll see how they fare in that head-to-head. Enoch Mwamba, 14 defensive tackles so far. There's Chris Edwards back in the lineup. Hasn't played this year. This is game 1 for him, but it's Mwamba against the tailbacks.
Toronto,
and Shaq Richard told Mwamba.
1st down.
Richardson told Mwamba that he felt like it was going to be stop the run type of day. And he said, I'm going to beat you in tackles. He plays in the secondary, so if he does that, although we saw some aggressive behavior in warm-up, so he's fired up to play and wants to get involved in run stopping.
There was an objectionable conduct penalty against Shaq Richardson of the Argos, so that pushes Saskatchewan into Argo territory at the 50, and it's back to Jamal Morrow, and the Argos have that all locked up to take him down for about a loss of a yard. And there's the talk going on too. Chris Edwards back in that Argo lineup.
Yeah, they're fired up to put on a show here for the folks out in Eastern Canada, for Atlantic Canada. What a great atmosphere. Duke Williams was involved with Shaq Richardson. We had a little show before the show, just showing the intensity of these two teams wanting to win badly.
So loss of 2 for Morrow, 2nd and 12 at the Argo 52. First possession, touchdown Atlantic. As Fajardo throws and he completes it. Crossing route, Kean Schaefer-Baker, lots of yards after the catch for 89 Riders. They like to use him that way. Get him in space, and he'll do a whole lot more.
Well, he's their leading receiver. Leading receiver in targets, leading in catches, leading in yards after the catch, and in touchdowns. He's got 3 so far in the season, and this is what he has become, a guy that can catch a 2-yard crossing route and turn it into a first down when they were second and plus yardage, over 10 yards.
Gain of 19 on that play. He gets it inside the 40 to about the 33 of the Argos there. 1st and 10. Riders on the move. Fajardo to throw again. And they get him. He is sacked. Taken down there by Sean Oakman, an all-star in 2021.
Yeah, this is a good D line for the Argos up front. When you think of Davis, Oakman, Hendricks, and Ray. A little delayed rush there coming from Shane Ray, but Oakman got home.
And movement, the right guard Evan Johnson goes, and the Argos celebrate that as it looks like it's going against Saskatchewan.
Procedure, Saskatchewan number 64. 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
Of course, Saskatchewan 4-1, Rod, as you know, and trying to keep pace in a very, very tough West Division out of the gate here in the CFL season. And the Argos have a chance to take first and just almost double their lead with a struggling East Division.
That's the crazy thing about that imbalance. So over the middle and complete to Morrow is a helmet comes off. Morrow's does as he is hit hard by Jagarrett Davis after the catch and turning upfield.
Yeah, a little smash mouth. And, again, over the last 2-3 weeks, probably partly because Cody Fajardo's been playing with a knee brace and not as mobile as he'd like to be. The Saskatchewan Roughriders offensively has gone to more of a running game. And they bring the fullbacks in. The Argos are prepared for it. They know it's going to be physical up front. It was a big hit to get things started.
And a big moment for Brett Lothar, too, from about an hour and a half down the road in Truro, Nova Scotia, and back in his home province. The kick in a CFL game. Spent his college years at St. Mary's in Halifax, about an hour away. Lothar, 15 of 18, longest 57. This one, about a 42-yard try with Corey Vedvik holding. For the first points of the game. Going right, and no, didn't quite tuck in, as it just goes wide right. And Brandon Banks running around with it now and finally does take a knee. So 1 point on the board only for Lothar and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. McLeod Bethel Thompson. He played in Touchdown Atlantic for the Argos 3 years ago in Moncton. About to get his first possession with the Argos down a point. Beautiful site, Bay of Fundy, Annapolis Valley in Nova Scotia, and Wolfville, the site of Touchdown Atlantic. They started in regular season in 2010 with the Argos in Edmonton. They had one the next year, and in 2013, and then the most recent one before this, 2019, when Montreal, in a dramatic one, beat the Argos 28-22. There was a preseason game, I know you worked it, back in 2005 in Halifax. First time that they've been back here in Nova Scotia for a CFL game. Handing off, first possession, Andrew Harris spinning, trying to make something out of nothing, and might pick up a yard there on first down for the Argos.
An up and down season so far. Just 3 games played for the Argos. They've had 2 byes. The Riders have played 5 games heading into this one, so very different there. But an up and down sort of season in the 3 for Bethel Thompson, who had 269 in the win in week 1 and then dropped below 200 passing in the next loss, over 300 yards passing in the 3rd game, and they lost when Beatty missed an extra point to go overtime.
Here he is passing for the first time on 2nd and 9, throwing off to his left, and that one just sails out of bounds, so a 2 and out to start for the Argos. And A little conversation there as Bethel Thompson comes off, and you're right, he 2 for 6 in that game against Winnipeg a week and a half ago, and one was picked for a touchdown. 2 interceptions he threw, and then he went 8 for 8 after that, and ended up having a better second half.
Big 12-point fourth quarter in that game, and it was 1 point away from a tie when Beatty missed the extra point. Winnipeg kept their winning streak alive.
Australian global player John Haggerty with the punt. Mario Alford in his debut for the green and white after coming over a couple of weeks ago from the Montreal Alouettes on a short return. Fajardo and the Riders drove down a missed field goal try. They have the ball again at a 1-point lead, and touchdown Atlantic on TSN. It's a festive atmosphere here, but not for everyone. This happened in the pregame. Duke Williams throwing Shaq Richardson's helmet at him. They had to separate them.
Yeah, as Milt Stegall said just before the game in pregame, that's how football players give their helmets back to each other. But no, joking, of course. The refs weren't even out at that time. It was well into warm-up, and the intensity is here. Yeah, it's a business trip for these two teams.
Second possession begins. Cody Fajardo has been sacked once. He tries to get away, picks up a couple of yards there, and ultimately taken down by one of the newcomers to the Argo D. That's Ja'Kai Polite, number 98.
Good battle in the trenches started already. I mean, this is just 3 down linemen. 4th added in off the right of your screen, and 4 on 5. Cody Fajardo can't find the hot route he wanted, and had to just try to save a loss or get what he could. He got about a yard.
To make it 2nd and 9 from the Rider, 29, up by a point. Blitz is coming, gets it away quickly, and he completes it too. Completes that one to number 84, Jacob Prawl, and that's near first down yardage, but not quite.
Blitz coming from Enoch Mwamba on this one, the St. FX grad who knows this region very, very well. He was picked up on that blitz. But he said to us in Zoom this week he was so excited about coming back to Atlantic Canada. And he said this region in our country, the best kept secret in Canada.
Absolutely. He does have a point, and they did get the first down barely based on the spot of that ball. And they'll have some work to do to get another one. Lost yardage there as the Argos. And you talked about the importance of the running game for both of these teams. Toronto up front has been doing a very good job so far in Jamal Morrow.
Yeah, both teams are aware, and both teams obviously have seen the video, and they're saying, hey, the Riders are going fullbacks, sometimes 2 fullbacks, and they're trying to pound Jamal Morrow or Frankie Hickson, depending on who's playing tailback. That means the linebacking core's ears are up. They're ready for the Argos, but the same can be said about when the Argos have the football and Andrew Harris is on the field.
So 2nd down now for Saskatchewan. With time. And gets it over to Samuel Emelis, the rookie, with it. Up near midfield, taken down by Edwards at the Saskatchewan 52.
Yeah, top draft pick for the Riders on that delayed crossing route. He'll play wide receiver. Shaq Evans still not available due to injury, and he was hurt a couple of weeks back in the game in Montreal. So Emelis getting a chance to get some playing time, gets a key first down there. Nice run after the catch.
At the Rider 52. Fajardo. With Morrow swinging out, he looks the other way. A couple of Rider receivers, Prawl and Schaefer-Baker, both close together. That one goes incomplete.
Yeah, Jamal Peters. Jamal Peters wasn't fooled by when Cody Fajardo looked hard to Jamal Morrow to the left side of the formation. The reason that Fajardo did that was to try to pull the secondary. Watch how he's going to look out in this direction hard and then go back to that wide receiver slot back screen to the opposite side of the field. Did not fool Jamal Peters.
First incompletion for Cody Fajardo in this game. He's 5 for 6 for 50 yards. This is 2nd and 10 at the Rider 52. 3-man rush. Shot. Looking deep, taking his shot. And it was intended for Emelis. It falls incomplete. Chris Edwards, or excuse me, that was Jamal Peters there for Toronto.
Yeah, back-to-back plays by the corner, Jamal Peters. That was designed, let's take it deep from Cody Fajardo. I'm talking about them in the huddle when I say let's take it deep. He runs a wheel route down the sideline, and good timing on the coverage. Get that hand up. Make sure the right hand does not pull down the receiver. No PI call. Real good defensive play. Back-to-back plays for Peters.
And the Riders punting it away for the first time. It is Corey Vedvik standing inside the Saskatchewan 40. So the Argo defense holds. About to get the ball back. And on the return and nowhere to go for Toronto is Brandon Banks back for the punt returns now for the Argos. Beautiful sight in Nova Scotia. The CFL back here for Touchdown Atlantic. 1-0 Riders. We'll be back after this. First Touchdown Atlantic in the regular season in Nova Scotia, and first one here, Acadia University. And you look at the history here with the Vanier Cups. I remember those teams in the late 70s, early 80s when they won 2 in 3 years and had a lot of good talent on that team. Just a beautiful sight, Raymond Field, the home of Acadia.
Absolutely. Acadia University, founded in 1838. 4 faculties: arts, pure and applied sciences, professional studies, and theology. Over 200 degrees. Combinations possible here. Beautiful sight.
A penalty forces the Argos to start at the 3. Bethel Thompson play action fake for Markeith Ambles, who has the catch up at around the 7.
Toronto Argonauts will get Isaiah Cage back at left tackle. Missed the last game for the Argos. He's back and up against Keon Adams and no AC Leonard. Get to that in a second. Andrew Harris, just over 100 yards shy of 10,000. Should pass Milt Stiegel in all-purpose here tonight.
Milt's been having a good time today, interacting with fans.
I think the panel is. I'm looking over to their location, and they're not there.
Matt Dunnigan just flew in the game in Winnipeg last night. Throwing it off to the right, on the far side, Tavares Daniels. That's up across the 15, and a first down for the Argos.
Okay, so the CFL's leading sacker in the league, Pete Robertson, is out. He's out due to injury. We talked about Garrett Marino. He is out due to suspension. So it's Keon Adams, but they're going to move Lanier out to end because AC Leonard was a late scratch and move Brown in at tackle. Larry Dean leads their team in defensive plays. Now the secondary has been changed all over the place. Mike Adam goes to halfback. Dalkey goes to safety. Blaze Brown will play at the opposite halfback. Jeremy Clark on the corner.
Ball is handed off to Andrew Harris and gets it up near the 20 on that first down play.
Roland Milligan is ill and was a last-minute scratch. Was supposed to start at halfback here tonight. So Adam moves out to halfback, and I'm going to highlight and watch that a little bit to see what, first of all, Jason Shivers does defensively. Is he going to play some more zones where Mike Edom is comfortable in a zone because of that safety, or did they play some man and trust that Edom can run with the slot backs for the Argos? We'll watch number 15.
Harris with 2 carries for 3 yards, so Riders doing the job in that department. Here's a deep look for Bethel Thompson, and a little confusion with his receivers as there's nobody near except for guys in green and white as he gets a little frustrated there heading off on the 3rd and 7, the left to punt.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Brandon Banks, I believe it was Banks on that outside. Yeah, it was Banks. He broke on an out route, and McLeod Bethel Thompson threw a go route. One zig, the other zag.
And as a result, John Haggerty will kick it away for the second time in this game, standing back just outside his 5. 1-0 Riders. 4 minutes to go in the first quarter here at Acadia and Touchdown Atlantic. Mario Alford breaks away from 1. Cuts back, has some room, found the edge. Mario Alford announcing his arrival to the Saskatchewan Roughriders as their new return guy, giving Morrow a break and giving Saskatchewan good field position with a 1-0 lead. This game can't mean any more than it does to this guy, Truro's Brett Lawther. Let's go down to Matthew Shinetti.
You know, Rod, I would love to have a seat in the stands, but I can't because 180 of Brett Lawther's closest friends and family are here. I have the pleasure to sit next to, or squat next to, his father, Troy. Troy, I spoke to your son before the game, and he said at some point when he had 180 tickets, he said, Dad, you got to take care of this for me because it's a lot. So how did you wrangle 180 people and bring them to Wolfville today?
Yeah, he called me up and told me to take care of it, so everybody started emailing me, phoning me, and I was just putting it out there, seeing how many tickets they all needed, and then ended up being first 6 rows, 180, and there's still more spread out though. Family and closest friends there.
And I imagine it was a nice caravan coming into Wolfville this morning.
Oh yeah, I've seen all the green rider shirts, and that's my kicker t-shirts out there. All looks good.
And what does it mean to have your son playing in this game representing Atlantic Canada?
This is big. It makes everybody happy, and this is just, hopefully one day we'll get the team down here and be even bigger.
Now, I also have noticed that you've been looking at how the wind is pulling a bit today, as your son was. What do you think about the kicking conditions today?
I don't like that wind too much. It's swirling a lot out there. That was an easy field goal we missed the first time.
And where do you think his range might be here today if the wind is pulling just a little bit?
Maybe 35s. It's straight going back, no problem, but it's swirling.
Well, we all know, though, that when clutch time comes, your son can really put it down the middle. So thank you for this, Troy. And guys, everybody stand up and say hi to Canada, all of 180 of you. We're on TSN, so guys, you can stand up and let's go.
And after a big play to Duke Williams and a first down, a gain of 16, shorter one there for more of a what a great story. You think of friends and family of maybe, I don't know, a dozen at most. That'd be a lot, but well over 100.
I'm sure with Lawther and all the people he knows in this region, he could have filled the stadium. And by the way, when these tickets went on sale for Touchdown Atlantic this year, they sold out in an hour. And probably could have sold 3 or 4 times over. This, to me, is the thin edge of the wedge in the door to open up the possibility of a continued game every year here until we get the 10th franchise in Atlantic Canada. It's got to happen. It's got to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and we've been saying it for a while, and that dream is still alive. That one incomplete, intended for Samuel Emelis. So third down, and Mr. Lawther will be coming back with all the friends and family cheering him on to try another one. He had a miss earlier on, just missed it to wide right. And that was from 42, and this one will be a little less than that. About a 36-yard try. See if they can increase the lead to 4. And Lawther, this time, no doubt about it, split the uprights with the field goal, and that Lawther contingent cheering him on as it is now a 4-0 Rider lead.
Well, let's take a look. 180 tickets. Again, I'm not sure. Like Matthew said, I'm not sure how he got that many because this was sold out in a heartbeat, but there they are. Loving what they saw there with the kick going right down the middle.
Well, yeah, I mean, if each player gets an allotment, would he just go around to all his teammates and say, can I have your tickets, please? Can I have your tickets?
Yeah, that's where it starts. I have no problem. Well, it's been a ton of fun just down on the Halifax Pier, too. All the green and white. There's some Argos jerseys, too, and I saw a lot of Andrew Harris's, but nowhere near the number of green and white jerseys down on the Halifax Pier.
And it's home, but it's also a rival field. He played at St. Mary's for the Katie Axemen, their home field here, Raymond Field. A rival team. First down, Bethel Thompson, Markeith Ambles up near the 45 in that first down play. Ambles scored the touchdown that got Toronto to within a point of Winnipeg with just seconds to go, and then there was a missed extra point denying him a chance to take it to overtime.
A little push to the flat. Good tackle in the open field outside by Jeremy Clark.
Gain of 5, 2nd and 5. Touchdown Atlantic late in the first quarter. The Argos trailing by 4. Bethel Thompson drops the ball off the snap. He picks it up. and he does get it away, and he completes it too to Daniels. Well done, Bethel Thompson, after the mistake at the start, to get a first down for the Argos in Rider territory at the 50.
The challenge for Bethel Thompson is to get his eyes back up. I mean, when that ball goes to the turf, the quarterback in the shotgun has to go down and get it. That takes his eyes off the coverage. Now he snaps up quickly, focuses in on that out route, knows the schemes, knows exactly where he thinks his receiver should be, but he finds them in a hurry and gets the first down, moves the chains.
And it was a gain of 15, and the injured Roughrider getting attention still on the field is their field corner, Jeremy Clark, hurt on that play. And this team, you talked about it earlier, Suits. Roland Milligan is sick and couldn't play. They've had some challenges moving bodies around in that Rider defense.
Well, yeah, I mentioned it. Mike Edom out at halfback for Roland Milligan. Blaze Brown playing at the other halfback. We'll see what happens with Jeremy Clark. That change pushed Clark to corner. A little friendly fire on the inside of the knee from Darnell Sankey. So they do have Nelson Lacombo dressed. Onyeka also dressed for this game. Jason Shires going to have to do some more juggling back there in the secondary.
That secondary right now does have Lacombo and Blaze Brown and Edom and Nick Marshall and Dalkey in at safety, as you talked about, with Edom going to half. So Lacombo in the corner. And in his second year, Lacombo is the one standing in for the injured Jeremy Clark. From the Saskatchewan 50, a first down Toronto. Andrew Harris. That is his third carry. And again, the yards are a little tougher to come by so far in this one.
See what the penalty is here. Late flag. It looked like to me on that last play, Derek Moncrief played halfback. Dropped back into the secondary.
Major foul, face mask, Saskatchewan number 11. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
The veteran linebacker Larry Dean, who had a great game last week against Ottawa, gets flagged there for the face mask.
Well, he's been their leader. Great story, too, coming back from that Achilles injury and emotional in game one. Leads the CFL in defensive tackles with 28 coming into this week, and defensive plays with 38. He's got his hands on the face mask there.
On the first down. And down towards the 30. Harris again, who had his best day against his old team, the Bombers, a week ago Monday, when he had 111 on the ground. But as said, it's the gain of 2 there and difficult yardage for Harris against the Riders.
I'll take a look at his rushing yards. That's how close he is to getting to that 10,000 yard mark. Only 6 players at that moment will have done it in the history of the league.
2nd and 8 after the 2-yard gain by Harris. Bethel Thompson flushed out, taking off, getting pursued by Keon Adams, who makes a nice tackle from behind to prevent him from getting any further. As it stands, though, that big run by Bethel Thompson puts the Argos closer to pay dirt and a first down.
Yeah, he doesn't do it very often, does he? But McLeod Bethel Thompson will take off and run. He's got pretty good speed. He's got from behind here, but Keon Adams had some momentum coming around that edge. But a first down, new set of downs.
4th carry for 36 yards in the season. Bethel Thompson back to Harris, and yeah, they have him stuffed up again for next to nothing. Larry Dean is in there. Darnell Sankey, the middle linebacker, as well. Great atmosphere here in Wolfville, Nova Scotia. Touchdown Atlantic. We are through 15 minutes. Saskatchewan leading at 4-0, but the Argos are threatening. We are through 1 quarter here in Touchdown Atlantic, but we're looking back now. At some highlights in the CFL for the head coach of the Acadia Axemen, Jeff Cummins. Started his career with the Las Vegas Posse, moved to Toronto, Ottawa, Hamilton as well, and then some of Mr. Cummins' work here. This is his best work. Look at that footwork. And Jeff goes on to become the head coach of the Axemen here in Wolfville. That was back in 2003, and what a long run you've had. So, Coach, welcome. And what do you think of all of this? Used to coaching football games here, but to see your old league, the CFL, come.
Yeah, you know what? It's great, Rod, and it's great to see you and Glenn here, and the whole crew, the panel, and you know, having a game here on this field, and you know, the ability for us to really kind of showcase what Acadia, Wolfville, and everything's about is special.
McLeod Bethel Thompson here, deep in Saskatchewan territory in the 2nd and 7, rolling out, and a flag does come out on that pass. It is no good.
So, Jeff, let me ask you about the program. How does the program look? How are you feeling about, you know, your football team and this I'll give you a chance to sell Acadia football.
Well, listen, I mean, I don't need to sell it. This place sells itself. I mean, we get people here on campus, and we get people down here in the valley.
Legal contact on the receiver, Saskatchewan. After this is the goal.
It'll sell itself. It'd be nice here. That'd be nice to see. Get some more scoring going. You know,
when you said we, did you mean Argos?
I'm you know, but let you guys get back.
To get Toronto.
Double move down on the end zone. You know you're going to get a cover 1 or a cover 0. You get a double move down here at the end zone. If you get enough time, well, they're in trouble. They don't have enough time to cover them.
Coach Cummins called it. Tavares Daniels touchdown.
And I'm going to let him analyze it, too. He's going to take a look at the replay right here. This is first a look at McLeod Bethel Thompson. Cover 1, by the way, is man-to-man defense with a man free in the middle. Cover 0, no free man in the middle to help. So you're still in man-to-man, but there you go.
Well, they picked up the outside blitz, right? So he runs an out and up, and they had plenty of time to get him the ball. It's a great catch in the corner. I'm glad they had enough room over in those short corners there. That's fantastic.
So Boris Beatty, and to be on to kick now, of course, difficult for him a couple of weeks ago against Winnipeg, week and a half ago, when he missed the extra point that would have likely forced the game into overtime, but the team had his back. Big leg, great kicker. They had his support, and that's what Boris Beatty does. Right through the conversion, 7-4. So a touchdown for Tavares Daniels after that drive of 8 plays, 70 yards, and in just over 3 minutes of time, and the Jeff have the lead.
So Jeff, now we found a couple of clips of you in your days here. Now, who's choreographing some of those? Was that up to you, or were you?
You know, it's golly. I look at it now. It's a little different than I remember it. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know. He could have maybe. Well, that's not bad either. That's not bad either. I don't have the hips to do that. That's for sure. You know what? It was it originally started, and Glenn and I was mentioning that you and I did an interview back in '95. It started with a former teammate of mine in junior college that had passed away the year before, and he had a little bit of a dance that he used to do. So I stole a little bit from him and added a little bit of my own. It took on a life of its own after a few years, but you know what? It was just such a joy to play. I mean, I get teams and guys that I used to play against say, "Why are you always laughing and smiling in the middle of the game?" Yeah. You know what? I love playing. I love coaching.
Joy and a privilege to play, isn't it?
Absolutely,
at the end of the day. Yeah,
it is. And you know what? We take it for granted sometimes.
Yeah, I want to ask you how you came to Acadia. How did that all start?
My wife is from the valley here, Annapolis Valley. We met in 1996. We got married here in 2001, and the rest is history.
And what a run it's been. Success, Atlantic titles since 2003, and now the Argos have the lead. And kicking off, it's Mario Alford on the return. Did his debut with the Saskatchewan Roughriders starting the season with the Montreal Alouettes. Well, among your former players, guy that's working for us, Murph Tarvis.
Yeah, Murphy, we used to say, had a horseshoe somewhere in his uniform. The ball seemed to find him on a regular basis. I mean, whether it was a fumble or an interception or a block punt, somehow or another, that ball ended up in his hands. He scored more touchdowns than half of my running backs. So he's a great man. He's a great father, and we're extremely happy that I got a chance to visit.
Wave
again. Murph, you got to wave, Murph. You got to wave.
And a teammate of ours,
absolutely, helping us out with the stats, Murphy Tarvis. And
so, Coach, sorry.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this, Jeff. You've been in the region for a long time now. You know, the question keeps coming up, and I know we've been talking about this for a long time. We all hope that this happens every year, first of all, leading up to the time when the 10th team is in Atlantic Canada. Can it happen? What's your opinion?
Gosh, I hope so. You know what? I mean, the support, as you can see here today, the support for the game and for the CFL is here. I understand it's tough to find a venue, and I understand that. As soon as there's a venue here, I think everyone in the CFL, everyone in the country would love to be able to come to the Atlantic Coast, be a part of this thing.
Cody Fajardo stepping up on 2nd down and 7, gets up across the 40.
I've been saying, Jeff, that one of the big reasons, yes, it would balance the schedule. Yes, it would feature this region of our country, which Enoch Mwamba called the best kept secret in Canada.
Amen.
And, you know, I think about the kids, the 10-year-old kids playing flag football in this region that could come to a game live and actually see it and touch it. And these players will be right there to talk to them.
100%. Well, I'm sitting across the stadium here. I said to 5 or 6 people sitting around me, there's not a bad seat here. It feels like you can reach out and touch them.
Exactly.
And a few of those early hits, I'm thankful that I didn't hit them.
We got a 3rd down gamble, 1 yard to go. Jamal Morrow, big run Riders. Morrow still on his feet, inside the 25. Down inside the 20 before he's finally taken down by Royce Mechie, but a 3rd down gamble, and did it ever pay off? Because here comes Saskatchewan answering back.
Well, Jeff, when you're on 3rd down on defense, you're just taking your gap, and sometimes they can spring it like this.
That's it. You know what? It's cover 0, and you're trying to create a gap. You create an extra gap by bringing adding somebody into the box there, right? They created an extra gap, a little overflow by the linebacker there. Nice cut by Morrow, and they're in scoring territory now.
A gain of 51. Jamal Morrow, as you've seen, no longer returning kicks. They wanted to save his energy as the top running back coming in to this game in the CFL. And yardage picked up. There's Prawl. Jacob Prawl trying to tiptoe down the sidelines with a flag coming out.
See if this is a pick or a rub, and if it is against Saskatchewan and Duke Williams, or was it after the play? Because there was some pushing and shoving after the play as well, a couple times. Yeah. And that's Shaq Richardson. And those were the 2 guys that were at each other in warm-up.
Showed you that earlier when Duke Williams threw the helmet of Shaq Richardson at him.
Oh, excuse me, he was a halfback. But you saw the hit. Now
little extracurricular after the play, I think.
And throwing him down there, right, Jeff? And then there was,
coming up right
looking
there.
at the top, there's another one. So this may be offsetting. We'll see.
Holding, Saskatchewan, number 5. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Toronto, number 9. 5-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
So 1 penalty against Williams, and it's not against Richardson, against Royce Mechie.
Yeah, that was the push, Rod, right by the sideline. Mechie maintains a little bit of discipline and composure there. That's pushing Saskatchewan back. But offset and 1st down.
And that is from the Argo 13. The Riders now trail, so they have a chance to take the lead right back. Oh, Fajardo is taken down. Oakman down around his ankle, and it looks like Fajardo is hurt. Pounding the turf, and yes, indeed, with Oakman very low.
Well, it's been a bad week for low hits.
Oh, has it ever?
Back to last week.
And you see him holding that left knee where he had the brace.
Holding Saskatchewan, number 63. The penalties declined. Second down.
Yeah, now I know you probably look at this, Jeff, and think, you know, back in the day, you could crawl and make a sack like that. Now you can't. You cannot continue when you're down on the ground and hit a quarterback low. That's been sort of the evolution of protecting and player safety and protecting the quarterbacks in the CFL. So that will be called. You know, even if you get pushed down, you got to control your body. You can't hit the quarterback low, below the knees.
Well, of course, it's been very topical, as you alluded to. Garrett Marino last week on Jeremiah Masoli. I'm not making a direct comparison here, of course, but they are going to make a challenge on this. It's good to see Fajardo now jogging off, wearing that brace on his left knee, but Craig Dickinson talking it over with the referee, Dave Foxcroft.
Saskatchewan is challenging that there was roughing the passer on the previous play. We'll review the play.
So they'll review that and decide whether or not it was roughing the passer. Coach Jeff Cummins, thank you for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, my pleasure, Rod. Glenn, great to see you. Thank you guys for having me, and hope you have a great time while you're out here.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It will be second down.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. I don't, you know, there is a little leeway if you feel like the D lineman has been pushed. But even though Oakman goes down here, it's the right arm hard and then the twist of below the knee. You know, that to me is roughing the passer. I don't know what they're calling there.
I can imagine a lot of angry Roughrider fans right now after what went on last week. Swinging it out for McInnes and losing yards there.
Yeah, exactly. And there's, you know, there is leeway. There's leeway if you get pushed, and there's absolutely no way you can change your trajectory as you're going down and you hit a quarterback low. But if you can avoid it, you can't hit a quarterback below the knees.
Right.
Oakman could have avoided that. It was not called on the field and not overturned. Right. Don't get that one.
It was good to see Cody Fajardo get back on the field, but frustration, I'm sure, for that man, Craig Dickinson. From the 30. And Brett Lother is on again, this time to try to tie the game. He's 1 for 2 in this one. Back close to home. With all his friends and family in attendance to watch him live, it is indeed 7-7. Andrew Harris, 5 carries, 10 yards against that Rider defense. He and the Argos back on the field on offense when we come back. Andrew Harris, future Hall of Famer, and all those yards from scrimmage, chasing another Hall of Famer of ours, Milt Stegall. They're the numbers right now as it stands at 15,174, and Milt with 15,209.
Yeah, back in the day when this happened and you went by a guy like that, and Andrew's going to do that today if he stays healthy. It was always, see you, wouldn't want to be you, Milt. See you, wouldn't want to be you.
But he'll never be as good looking, right, Milt?
Oh, boy.
Anyway, handing off. And that's nothing on Andrew Harris's looks, of course, too. Here is 85. Cornered the market and knows that his spot in the yardage from scrimmage being about to be passed by a very good player.
Now, he's got his work cut out for him here because this is the #1 team in the league against the run, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Andrew Harris so far tonight, 5 touches for 10 yards. I mean, it's tough slugging.
Yeah, the way it's going right now, I mean, thought Milt might witness Harris pass him in person, but Rider defense making it hard on 33.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Toronto, number 53. It's a 15-yard penalty. It will be second down.
the left guard, Philip Blake, and 15 yards back for Toronto.
Yeah, well, sure hope Andrew is able to get it tonight. I would love to be in attendance for him when he accomplishes his goal. And this is just a testament to the way he's taking care of his body and his mind and how smart of a player he is. Because I don't care how talented, physically you are. There are some other attributes that must come into play for him to play this long. So that's a testament to how smart of an individual that he really is.
It's a lot of yards, though, Milt.
Yeah,
man,
it really is.
It is a lot of yards. You can start converting that to kilometers.
And your place in history is pretty safe there, 85.
Yes, sir.
Deep ball, Bethel Thompson into coverage, and it's picked off by Blaze Brown. It was for Curly Gittens, and Brown came down with that.
Careful on the celebration, going all the way down to their own end zone, but textbook play from Blaze Brown when the ball arrives. This is the jump ball throw, the 50-50 ball. Milt did it. Milt caught a lot of these in his 15,000 plus, but Blaze, look at the composure with Brown going up, high pointing the ball, ripping it down, blocking out the receiver to do it. We've seen many, many times, including Thursday night in Montreal, where DB panics at that moment and runs into the receiver. Not that time. Great play by Brown.
Brown getting the start because of injuries in the Riders secondary. Big turnover, Ian Schaefer-Baker with Jamal Peters on him, and gets it up to the 45, a gain of about 4.
Feel better, girl. This for you. This for you. Love you. Love you. Feel better, babies. Feel better. I got you.
Third year in Saskatchewan. That's his second career interception. Got his first against Hamilton in 9 games played last year for the Roughriders.
Call it a 2nd and 5 from the Rider 46. 7-7 tie and touchdown Atlantic in Wolfville. Fajardo facing more heat. Gets out of it and throws on the move and completes it to Frankie Hickson, who had a real breakout game last week against the Ottawa Red Blacks, including a nice run for a touchdown, but that one is shy of a first down, and they'll have to kick it away.
Yeah, I was watching Cody Fajardo here, Rod, just to see how he's moving. He looked pretty good. He moved up and then made a couple of sharp cuts to get outside, and the moment that ball left his hands, he started limping again. So clearly he's gotten it out to the low hit from Oakland.
Aggravated the knee injury against Montreal a few weeks ago and has been wearing a brace since. And you have to think that brace prevented things from being worse on that knee for Fajardo earlier in the play by Oakland. So punting it away is Vedvik. And it rolls. And it's picked up and flags come out for no yards. Dejan Brissett, the returner. This is one of those no yards that used to be 5 yards. Instead, it'll be 15. What a beautiful sight. The Bay of Fundy. Touchdown Atlantic on TSN. From Wolfville to Hamilton, Tim Hortons Field, and a game 2 teams desperately need a victory. The Ottawa Red Blacks and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. That's part 2, 5 Eastern time. Here, a touchdown Atlantic. We have a 7-7 tie here in the second quarter. The Argos have the ball. McLeod Bethel Thompson, 5 for 8 for 41 yards in this one, throwing again, and he completes it to Markeith Ambles, and he is met by Blaze Brown, who had the pick earlier in this quarter to take him down for next to nothing.
Yeah, great close there. Mike Edom was also the guy that was trying to make sure that that play was contained and went inside. And that's where the pursuit and his teammates were coming from. So Edom, see, he gets upfield to make Ambles turn up the field and turn inside to where pursuit could get him. And that's where Blaze Brown comes in.
So a 2nd and 9, just a yard there for Ambles on that reception. Four-man rush. With time, Bethel Bethel Thompson can't find a receiver, and he finally does. That one is completed to Cam Phillips. His first catch of touchdown Atlantic, and it looks like it is just enough for a first down Argos.
Well, he got the scramble rules right. Cam Phillips was a deep route, and as McLeod Bethel Thompson started to scramble, Cam Phillips worked his way back to the football. He's going to end up right over here. He's got the deep corner out, then he sees the scramble rule, so he comes back underneath on that crosser.
Comes up to the Argo 48, and first down, Bethel Thompson. Off to Brandon Banks. Banks spinning past midfield, and for Banks, that is his first catch of this game today.
Well, you know, their last game, that loss to the Bombers, was Brandon Banks statistically his best game as an Argo, but you know, this is a guy that I think the Argo fan base and certainly the Argo organization think they need more of. I mean, that was a way to get him the ball in that little quick pass, but this is a guy who's got breakaway deep speed. We haven't seen it.
He had 5 catches for 95 yards and a really interesting contested touchdown, but he also got in a fight on the sidelines and had a drop too, so kind of a mixed bag from Banks. That snap is bobbled by Bethel Thompson, gets it to Harris, but we've seen difficulties with that shotgun snap. We saw it in the game against Winnipeg as well for Bethel Thompson, and they end up in a third down situation in midfield, and so John Haggerty will come on to punt it away.
Yeah, it was really all he could do, Bethel Thompson, to make sure that become real bad, like over his head and a chase to get it with great field position at stake. And Miles Brown, who got the call late when Anthony Lanier moved out and played for AC Leonard, ends up getting to Andrew Harris.
So Mario Alford is back for the return for Saskatchewan on the punt by Haggerty, just inside the 45 and nowhere near Alford, as gets a nice punt down there inside the 10. See where they spot it. Inside the 5, so beautifully done by Haggerty to hem in Cody Fajardo in the Rider offense, as we get an update now from Matthew Schmidt.
Well, as you can see, Cody Fajardo is walking gingerly, especially with that brace on his left knee. And you can hear the extracurriculars that are around me right now, obviously with the benches being close and these two teams in a lot of tension in their last 2 games. But the Riders are not looking at Cody Fajardo's left knee. Jason Moss went and asked him after that hit by Sean Oakland, "Oh, how are you doing?" He said, "I'm hurting, but I'm okay." And then Steven Sorrell, the offensive line coach, went right to his offensive line and, to put it conservatively, tore a strip out of him. But just now, Jaguar Davis is trying to calm everybody down here. As you guys can see from your vantage point, Rod and Glenn, a lot of tension here.
And Matthew, you said it. Both of these teams have seen a lot of tension lately. The Riders, of course, the game against Ottawa, the Marino hit on Masoli, but also the Argos, some infighting on the sidelines in their game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers a week ago Monday.
The Argos, or the Riders, I should say, are the most penalized team in the league so far this year. Craig Dickens has been working hard on that every single week to make the players aware of how devastating it can be. I mean, it hasn't come back and cost them a loss just yet at 4-1, but stay undisciplined, it will.
The thing is, they were pretty disciplined for the most part in that game against Ottawa until late in the game when everything kind of got out of control.
Number 15, 10-yard penalty, first down Saskatchewan.
So objectionable conduct is called on Eli Menser, number 25 for the Argos. The second such penalty they've had in this game. Talk about a discipline concern right now. It's for that man, Ryan Dinwiddie. Saskatchewan with the ball at their 14. Fajardo handing off. Morrow tries to find the edge, running it outside, and does pick up some yardage to get across the 20 for Saskatchewan.
You know, talked about the matchup between Mwamba and the tailbacks for Saskatchewan, and right now Saskatchewan is trying to counter that matchup a little bit by getting their tailbacks outside. You know, run off tackle rather than between the tackles. Get number 25 in space.
So it's a 2nd and 5. 4:23 on the clock and ticking here till halftime. A touchdown Atlantic in Wolfville, a 7-7 tie. From the center, Logan Bandy. Fajardo looking deep and left. And in the crowd, it's intercepted. Royce Mechie. They rule him down. Duke Williams, the intended target. But Peters and Mechie were there, and similar to the Saskatchewan pick. Good coverage by the Argos, and they'll take over.
Jeff Cummins, remember when he was in and he was talking about cover 0? I think Cody Fajardo thought this was cover 0 because Shaq Richardson, the halfback, comes up and he ends up blitzing off the edge. Now it's a controlled blitz trying to find an opening, but that would indicate to a quarterback that you're in 0 coverage with no help. The help comes from Royce Mechie. So a disguise in the blitz, not a blitz necessarily, a stunt to get Richardson to come, make it look like a full blitz and cover 0 behind it, with Mechie sitting in the middle, flowing to the football and picks it off.
And he's ruled down on that play right at the Argo 46. They take over. Under 4 minutes to go until halftime. McLeod Bethel Thompson to throw here. Over the middle and complete. Had an open receiver. It's Phillips with his 2nd catch of this game and a first down in Rider territory.
I'll tell you what, McLeod Bethel Thompson to me is a bit of a roller coaster. Because, you know, this in route, he rolls to his left deliberately to pull the defense away so that that dig route over the middle can open up. And, you know, when I see plays like that from McLeod Bethel Thompson, I think, man, the guy's got a great arm. That movement shows his veteran savvy. And yet, there's a dip in the roller coaster sometimes, too.
Andrew Harris taking it on first down from the 51 after a 13-yard gain on the Bethel Thompson play to Phillips. And
that's a bigger gain for Harris. Yeah, that's the first time I think that O-line.
This is the 3-minute warning.
That O-line got a good push. That's probably their best running play so far.
3-minute warning. Touchdown Atlantic until halftime. 7-7 the score.
I'm so sorry, Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans. Look at Milt Stegall! Fans, what do we think? Milt Stegall, man of the people, will be back at half with all these fans.
Oh, great collegiate atmosphere, Kate. Thank you down there. Looking forward to your halftime show here at Raymond Field. And it was a 2nd and 1 there for Toronto and a first down as the 6th move. But just seeing Milton endearing himself to Rider fans, I remember during a rain delay, a storm delay at Mosaic, that the crowd there at Mosaic was letting him body surf. So.
Did we see Milt Stegall on a boat though yesterday? Was he on a boat somewhere?
Fishing?
Yeah, the Halifax Pier. trying to play both sides of this matchup.
First down sneak by Bethel Thompson, so they get it to the 41 and trying to add points before halftime and take a lead against Saskatchewan. And another deep ball heading to the end zone. No! It came out. It looked like Brandon Banks had a shot at it. Incomplete.
You got to take a shot when you got Brandon Banks in your lineup. I mean, this is a play that we've got to see from the Argos. They go down the middle. Now, Banks had to deal with the center post, too. Both players had to. It was Dalkey kind of trying to catch up there. And he actually hits the post and making that play.
Jaden Dalkey knocking it away from Brandon Banks. Big play by the rookie from the University of Alberta. So the blitz is coming. Taking another deep shot. Wide open. Phillips. Touchdown Argos.
Well, that was a bust. That's what we call them. Call it a bust when the secondary busts the coverage. And they leave a guy running free. In this case, Cam Phillips. And he's just going to run free. One of these two have got to go back, and both don't.
Two deep shots to the end zone. The first one didn't go, the second one did. To Cam Phillips, and the Argonaut touchdown. And his first, and Boris Beattie to convert, which he does. And so late in the half, 2:25 to go, 5 plays, 64 yards, and barely a minute and a half after the interception, points off the turnover, and a 14-7 Argo lead.
There's two terminology here, is sky or cloud for the defensive secondary.
God is great, baby. Everything in abundance.
In sky coverage, the corner's deep. In cloud coverage, the corner's up, and the halfback's deep. Right now for the Riders in the secondary, it's kind of stormy clouds on that one. They just both came up and played cloud. We got a beautiful blue sky here and left Cam Phillips wide open. But you have to recognize it, you have to see it. And veteran quarterbacks, again, on that roller coaster a little bit with McLeod Bethel Thompson. Now we're on our way up again. A great drive and some big plays from Bethel Thompson, recognizing the bust and hitting Phillips.
McLeod, raining footballs into the end zone there in the Riders, and that one to Phillips does pay off.
Thinking of fucking playing with us, man. Don't play with us.
Remember, cross-state Reed and Reed are different.
Yes.
All right, because I didn't know what happened there. I'm like, what hell?
Little discussion afterwards. We fired up Cam Phillips here in Wolfville.
Good job.
I'm wondering, based on that quick conversation, did Cam Phillips run the wrong route and end up taking advantage of the bust in the coverage?
It's a shoulder day.
Well, if you're going to make a mistake, make one like that.
Yeah, make a touchdown mistake. There you go.
So 2 touchdown passes in this game for Bethel Thompson, and 1 interception, and a 7-point lead. And that kickoff is out of bounds. That's a flag.
Yeah, that'll be a penalty. That's good field position, and not some time for Saskatchewan to put a drive together here and answer that touchdown. But Cam Phillips, he didn't hesitate. He runs the go route. Again, McLeod Bethel Thompson, who started looking off to his left, trying to pull the safety, make sure there's no safety in the middle. And you know, for Cam Phillips, those look easy. You know, I've heard many times commentators even say, it's just an easy catch. Those are the tough ones because there's nobody around you. Your eyes are getting big. You're waiting for the ball to arrive, and it feels like it's taken hours to get there. And you got to secure the catch because that's kind of like putting it in your own net in hockey.
Almost too much time to think about it if it's coming down. Yeah.
Exactly.
So with the penalty, the Riders, with plenty of time, down 7, 2:25 on the clock till halftime, and they're up at their own 50 for Cody Fajardo. Dumps it off. Up to midfield, and a little past is Jamal Morrow.
Looked like Morrow got a little bit nicked, but he's getting up. Yeah, and with 2:18 to go before the half, the Riders don't have to deviate too far from their game plan. Stick with their game plan. Just keep moving the chains, get yourself into scoring territory, and then take a couple of shots. Lots of time to do that.
2nd and 4. Just over midfield. Approaching halftime of touchdown Atlantic. And handing off to Morrow again, who slips, goes down, and Benoit Marion, a little late arrival there too.
Did he slip or did he blow a tire there? Because he's cutting so sharp there. I think he blew a tire. Also by the reaction that he got up, he's kind of saying, "Wow, I cut so hard I tackled myself."
Right around that Katie Axman logo, where they are just past midfield. A game now, it's 3rd and 3. They're going for it. From the Toronto 53. And no, when a flag comes out, that was intended for Duke Williams. His friend Shaq Richardson's there along with him. But a 3rd down gamble late in the half by the Riders, and a little more activity after the fact.
Yeah, Duke's inside. He's going to run the corner route, and Keon Schaefer-Baker is on the outside.
Defensive pass interference, Toronto, number 1. That'll be an automatic first down, Saskatchewan.
PI for that contact you saw from Shaq Richardson, and that battle continues. You can make that contact just like he did, but it has to be within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. That was deeper than that, so pass interference.
And because of that, it moves to the Toronto 37, a big first down for the Riders.
Yeah, point of foul. So pass interference is where it happens.
Will the Riders even the score before halftime? 1st and 10. Here comes Saskatchewan. Handing off. Morrow again. Down to the 26. 2nd down.
Just gotta love tailbacks when and their desire to get that extra yard. There's so many ways to do it. Andrew Harris is a king of the spin move to get 2 more after every run, and watch the effort here from Morrow. Gets tripped up and then just dives and sells out. Give me 1 more yard.
Well, he has 71 suits in this game. Of course, 51 coming on one big carry he had earlier in this half. Out it goes. It is caught. It's Schaefer Baker after the catch. Breaks a tackle. Give Schaefer Baker still going. Working his way down closer to that Argo end zone. And another first down, Saskatchewan.
I'm not sure if it's just on him or if defenses are starting to relax when the receiver has the ball close to the sideline. I mean, we have seen Keon Schaefer Baker do this about 4 or 5 times this season. I think defenders think he's already out, or maybe that he'll give up and go out on his own, and he just keeps fighting.
Let's go. Gain of 14 yards, all of it after the catch for Keon Schaefer Baker. Great play after the ball got in his hands from Fajardo, who has it now, standing at the 20 of the Argos, flushed out of the pocket. Throws into the end zone. Touchdown, Saskatchewan.
Pocket passes. Caught by number 25.
Jamal Morrow got the ball, took the hit, hung on, and had broken the play as the Riders are a point away from tying it up.
Yeah, over 2 minutes in the Canadian Football League. Not only can you score and answer the McLeod-Bethel-Thompson touchdown throw, but you can also now have to play defense because McLeod-Bethel-Thompson may have some time for field goal range. That's exactly what happened, though, Rod, when you said he braced himself for this contact. The timing of the play meant that Jamal Morrow knew there was a DB coming downhill, Jamal Peters. So he braced himself for impact, but was across the plane.
And I can't imagine that's very easy when you know something's coming like that. A pretty hard hit hanging onto the ball.
Yeah, it's one thing for us to up here say it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got to concentrate on the ball.
Hey, mama. Pop, I said, love you.
And true is Brett Leather with the extra point. Jamal Morrow with the touchdown catch. And Saskatchewan came back. We got a 14-14 tie now, and touchdown Atlantic, and just over a minute to go to the half.
Not everybody can play football. I've said that before. I'll tell you what, this is Morrow going, I'll pay the price, no problem. And that's a big hit from Jamal Peters. But he knew where he was on the field. Fajardo spins out, buys himself some time. And then Morrow says, no problem, I'll pay full retail for this hit and this touchdown.
Jamal on Jamal. And it's Morrow that hangs on to the ball. Gets another touchdown for him. With a couple of rushing touchdowns, that's his first receiving touchdown this season.
He had 6 catches last week, and that's 6 catches for 67 yards. Most production he's had catching the ball into the backfield all season. So they're, Jason Moss, the offensive coordinator, starting to get him more involved as a pass catcher as well.
And he had been doing all of the kickoff returns and most of the punt returns. How important do you think ultimately as the season goes on to get Alfred in there and just give him a breather on special teams?
Well, very important for 2 reasons. He gets the breather, and Mario Alfred can get it done back there.
Yeah.
He's explosive in the return game.
Morrow with 12 touches, 96 total yards, and yes, that touchdown, that receiving TD. And so, still a minute. Argos about to get the ball.
Good field position now. Again, that's another illegal kick.
We've seen that's the second, so that one's on Lawther. We had one on Beatty earlier, but the kickoff out of bounds is a penalty, so it will give the Argos a better place to start as we get set for halftime. Great to have the panel here. Kate Burness, Milt Stiegel, Davis Sanchez. How about Matt Dunnigan, too? By the way, when is the beard coming on the promo shot?
Well,
he didn't shave for today.
I mean,
he didn't have time for one thing.
We're in the perfect place for the old man in the sea with Matty with the big gray beard on there. Get out there and do some lobster fishing.
We'd like to welcome in viewers from TSN1 who've been watching the British Open. This is Touchdown Atlantic on TSN. Late in the first half, and the Argos try another deep ball. Jeremy Clark was covering Brandon Banks, and Bethel Thompson has been airing it out this quarter.
He has, and you know what I like about it is that he's done it to Brandon Banks. Now, granted, they haven't connected yet, but that's okay because it does two things. It gets Brandon Banks sort of focused in that he will be a primary target on some of these deep routes. Now, he's going to have to start separating a little more, but gets him going, and it also plants a seed in the secondary for Saskatchewan. They're going to try and go over the top.
So 2nd and 10, 54 seconds from their 50. And lots of time. Bethel Thompson completes it for a first down on the far side of the field for Curly Gittins. And that's down a first down and down near the Rider 50. Inside of that, actually, down at the 45. So remember the leg of Boris Beatty. He already has a few field goals this year, over 50 yards.
How do you like the last 3 minutes of the half and
Not too bad.
The game in the CFL?
Yeah, we've had a lot of these. You're right.
That's amazing.
And close finishes right through. And we got a good one here in Touchdown Atlantic. Late in the half, complete again. And flipping after being tackled there is Markeith Ambles.
Touchdown Atlantic 2019. McLeod Bethel Thompson threw for 464 in that one. Now, didn't win. Lost late in that game. Again, a one-possession game. That one in New Brunswick.
Dramatic finish in that one, I remember, in 19. Well, here come the Argos already. Still over a half minute left, and they are down on that catch by Phillips, who had a touchdown earlier. Just about down in the score zone.
I say it, Rod, because in this second quarter, McLeod Bethel Thompson has looked good. I mean, real good. He's making these reads and throws with great accuracy.
He's 12 for 17 for 140, a couple of touchdowns and a pick. Here they come, though. The Riders don't get him, and he takes off for the second time in this game. He does not run a lot, but he does get them closer to the 10.
Maybe he likes the lobster as much as I do. I don't know. He's threw for a lot of yards. Now, he didn't get the win, so that, that's the ultimate goal. But, throw for almost 500 yards. You've kind of done your part as the quarterback.
Enjoying his trips to the Maritimes, Bethel Thompson. And that one, that is caught by Banks. It's right at the 5. 8 seconds to go. And a first and goal for Toronto. So not thinking field goal here for Ryan Dinwiddie. Like to find the end zone and see if they can go to the dressing room up a major score.
That's the type of play that Brandon Banks usually takes in stride, turns around, and makes a move to score on. But yeah, you got to be efficient here, and this is what McLeod Bethel Thompson making sure they don't blow this opportunity to add 3. Or maybe take a shot if they think they can do it. Let me show you that route again by Brandon Banks out here at the outside. That they like to run this, and Hamilton did when they had Banks. To have him just sort of sit down, but he's a little slow coming out of that turn, and the ball is low and away, so it takes him to the turf. But how many times have we seen that play where he catches standing up, turns around, one-on-one move, and he's in the end zone?
What a big timeout. What a big play coming up here for Ryan Dinwiddie and the Argos. A great chance to take the lead at the half. It's just a matter of how much.
A bang-bang play here, you can get it done and still kick a field goal if it's not successful.
So running a play here with 8 seconds on the clock as the crowd picks up. Clock ticking. End zone look, no. Broken up. Looked like Curly Gittens wanted a call, but there's still just 2 seconds left, so Morris Beatty will come on.
Yeah, now you take the points, but you know, I think McLeod again. I've been impressed with his second quarter, and Bethel Thompson now he knows in his head he has that 8 seconds winding down in his mind, and he knew I'm running out of time. I don't throw it now, we lose a chance for 3.
So they will have that. As coming off a little discussion there with his head coach, and Boris Beatty is on. And this is about a 12-yard try for Beatty to give the Argos the lead. At the half, touchdown Atlantic on a field goal here, and it is. They are the home team. The Argos are, but lots of green and white and support for the Roughriders in this one too. What a great spectacle we've had here in Wolfville on a beautiful Saturday in Nova Scotia. Toronto 17, Saskatchewan 14. We are at halftime. Touchdown Atlantic, beautiful Wolfville, Nova Scotia. It's the Roughriders trailing by 3 against the Argos, but a big first half for Jamal Morrow, who is standing by with Matthew.
Jamal, needless to say, their defensive line is coming hard at you guys and Cody, but you've been able to attack them right back. What is working that you want to continue in the second half?
I mean, the O-line with their physicality. Them us and the fullbacks are continue to be physical, and so we keep wearing them down. I think we'll have success with that with the run game.
Needless to say, there's a lot of energy and emotion between the two sidelines. Do you want to see a little bit more of that from your team? Do you see they execute better when they're a little more emotional?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what we do. I mean, honestly, we play a clean game, not worry about what they're doing, just worry about ourselves. We'll be all right.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Jamal Morrow with 9 carries for 71 yards, including a 51-yarder. But through the air, he's also done some business, too, with 3 catches for 25 yards and a touchdown. Suits.
Yeah, all purpose at 100 yards coming from the line of scrimmage. And, of course, that touchdown, his first receiving touchdown of the season, and he had to take a big hit to get it.
We've enjoyed the atmosphere here so far. Fans coming back in after the halftime. It's been at capacity with all the seats added, and about 10,000 here to enjoy this one. Touchdown Atlantic, and the second half is underway. The Riders kick it off, and taken down at the 30 is Curly Gittens on the return, and not much doing. But the Argos start the second half with a lead of 3 points for McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Yeah, on this roller coaster that sometimes is McLeod Bethel Thompson. First quarter was okay, but then he got going, and it really looked good in reading the defense, recognizing what he was seeing, and getting the ball out of his hands. A couple of runs that were added in there, tried some deep shots, made some, didn't make some. But I thought he had a real good second quarter, Ron. See if he can build on that, starting with his first drive in the second half.
A lot of deep balls late in that half, and the payoff pitch as well. That one to Phillips for the touchdown. Handing off, they start on the ground, Andrew Harris. And by his standards, a slower first half. Harris on the ground had 16 yards, but has a good pickup there on first down for Toronto.
Yeah, I made him part of the pregame show as one of the feature guys we were going to look at because of the milestones that he's about to eclipse, and one of them being getting to 10K. It's a long way from it still.
Not a long way from a first down, though, as that was a 9-yard carry for Harris, and they get it on the second and short. So an early first down here in the second half for Toronto.
Yeah, coming in, he needed 114 yards, and considering last week he had over 100, by this time in the game he's usually up around 60 to 70 yards rushing. So behind the pace he needs, but again, this is a good run defense in Saskatchewan, allowing just 58 yards a game on the ground.
So the ball is at the Toronto 45. 3-point lead. The Argos coming into this game at 1-2. With the heat coming, he completes it. Bethel Thompson gets it to Curly Gittens. And that's across midfield for Gittins with his second catch. And another good one. The previous was 15 yards. This moves the sticks.
Yeah, this is a team with Markeith Ambles and Devaris Daniels, Brandon Banks on his team, and the leading receiver coming into this game 4 for the Argos, Curly Gittins out of Wilfrid Laurier.
From the Rider 53. And nothing doing there. Larry Dean in on the tackle of Andrew Harris.
You know, when you have these linebackers, not surprising they're good against the run. I mean, Darnell Sankey, Larry Dean, Derek Moncrief, that's a good group.
Sankey, great year with the Calgary Stampeders last year, leading the way in tackles and signing on as a free agent with the Riders in the offseason. And Larry Dean, what a story you alluded to earlier, missing all of last season because of an Achilles injury. 2nd and 10, no gain on that play. Pump fake, stepping up. Bethel Thompson calls his number again. This is the 4th time in this game. He had 3 carries in the first 3 games altogether, so he's done that in one afternoon here in Nova Scotia.
Well, he's been trying to take these deep shots, and when he doesn't get that deep shot, the very next idea that he's had is to take off and run, and there has been some open lanes. So what the Riders can do to combat that is make sure they're gap conscious, and that means if you've got the A gap or the B gap, make sure you're in it, or else you might leave an escape lane for Bethel Thompson.
32 yards rushing. That's more than Andrew Harris has in this game. I didn't expect to say this early in the second half, but here we are with 7 more yards to the ground than Harris does. And that time outside from the sweep, Phillips, and get some contact down there around the Saskatchewan 40.
So I mentioned the 10 grand for Andrew Harris, but how about the yards from scrimmage number closing quickly on the Milt Stegall? No one's catching Mike Pringle. Played against Mike Pringle.
Yeah. A lot of people, I see you do have some nightmare memories of going up against 27 Montreal. Or going back to the Baltimore days as well.
Oh, yeah.
2nd and 6. And handing off to Harris, who pulls his way for some extra yardage there on Larry Dean.
You know, when we're in a normal stadium, we're not this close. We're never this close. CFL Stadium, we're up and further away from the field. Man, I think that hit shook the whole press box up here.
You could feel it.
I feel the vibration up here. Larry Dean stepping in there, and I think that, you know, when you hear the saying hammer and nail.
Yeah.
I think there's 2 hammers.
Just smacking 2 hammers together.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sound of pad on pad. I'm sure you miss it in a lot of ways. Maybe not miss feeling it.
Well,
the way they've had to feel it.
Yeah, they're just regrouping a little bit after that contact, but wow, that wasn't far from us, and that rattled the whole cage up here. But Mike Pringle had a tendency to do that, just lower the shoulders, and that was his style. I mean, but this guy, Andrew Harris, got so many different weapons in his arsenal. He really does. I mean, he's got the great spin move. I think he's one of the best in the game's history at the stiff arm, the old-fashioned stiff arm. You know, that's what we talked about in the pregame. But Larry Dean and Andrew Harris, good, solid football play.
So 1st and 10 now after that Harris carry at the 31 Riders. Harris again. He likes the work, but Darnell Sankey says, take a seat. Not this time. And the helmet comes off as well as Sankey takes him down.
Yeah, that's the key when you've got a power back like that. If the linebacker can get there and fill the gap quickly, then you can get them before the momentum gets started. Get to the tailback before that downhill speed, that good momentum with the low pad level. Darnell Sankey got that done.
And Harris is now 13 away from catching Milt in combined yardage from scrimmage. There is an injured Argo down the right guard. Darius Bladek is down for Toronto. Early second half, touchdown Atlantic, and the Argos with a 3-point lead. The most talented home cooks return for a shot at redemption on an all-new MasterChef. Back to win Wednesday, 8-9 Mountain, only on CTV.
There's some master chefs in this part of the country, isn't there?
Certainly are.
Know how to prepare seafood, I'll tell you that.
If you like the seafood. So Bladick is out and Gregor McKellar, product of St. FX, in at right guard for the Argos now. Bethel Thompson with time. Another deep ball down inside the 10. A flag does come out. It's completed to Curly Gittins.
Yeah, that's going to be a holding call. I believe it was Isaiah Cage, but I may have got that number. See what the number is, but clearly a holding call. Right back at McLeod Bethel Thompson's feet. One of the D linemen for Saskatchewan got tackled.
Holding, Toronto, number 66. Major foul, roughing the passer, Saskatchewan, number 91. It's 5-yard difference, automatic first down.
So Anthony Lanier called.
Yeah, they're on there's the holding call. That's at the left tackle, Isaiah Cage inside, and a tackle there. So that's clear.
So 2 penalties, net 5-yard difference. And the Argos, 10th play of the drive coming up. A 1st and 10 from the Saskatchewan 25. Trying to add to that 3-point lead. Bethel Thompson handing off to Harris. Right side, and then jumps a bit too and spins. And Harris always seems to find a way to get a yard or 2 more.
He does. And Rod, I want to go back to that rough the passer, because right now Anthony Lanier is wondering what happened. And again, this wasn't below the knee. The ball is gone right now, and he's already in the air.
He's already committed.
Well, now we're at 2. We'll see if we get the hat trick of me disagreeing with roughing the passer calls one way or the other.
There was one earlier, Sean Oakman on Cody Fajardo, who was injured, stayed in the game, but favoring that left knee, and a high snap again for Bethel Thompson. That's the 2nd time in this game, and there were about 3 other incidents of difficulties with the exchange on that snap. The center, Justin Lawrence, but that one goes high, and they lose yardage.
Yeah, he has had some problems with it, hasn't he? And we'll see this one. This was hot and high, so clearly Justin Lawrence is asked to. He wants to engage right at the point of attack by De Beer, and just sending it back there a little bit hot and a little bit high. And that does stop the drive.
So with the loss, a field goal try for Boris Beatty now. 41 yards. And that one starting a little right and then really took a move to the left and through the uprights. It really did take a turn halfway through this 3rd quarter. Fans here know how to party and celebrate touchdown Atlantic, and we've got a lot more of it coming up here on TSN.
Take a look at Cody Fajardo's first half. He was 12 of 16, 103 yards. Didn't have a lot of yards, wasn't able to connect on the deep balls. Had that hit early by Sean Oakman that was low, not called on the field, not called after the challenge. Trouble with the deep ball, that one picked off, but he did work the sidelines a little bit, and that's where a lot of those 100 yards came from, including a touchdown throw to Jamal Moore.
And Fajardo is back in now, with the Riders now 6 points down after that field goal by Boris Beatty, who went 2 for 2 in the field goal department. From the Saskatchewan 40 and handing off to Jamal Morrow. Breaks through for 3 or 4 yards. Cody Fajardo has had a lot of success playing against the East Division. You consider, too, that his first game against an Eastern opponent, he lost it starting for Saskatchewan. So it's actually 13-1 since that opener against Ottawa.
Yeah, and he added 3 wins this year against the East Division. Hamilton, Montreal, and of course last week against Ottawa. He's 3-0 against the Argos as a starter, as we mentioned off the top. But some work to do here.
His first start against the Red Blacks in week 2 back in 2019. 2nd and 6, Fajardo. And he dumps it off. Tomorrow takes a big hit. Coming in there, the middle linebacker from the St. FX X-Men. Not far down the road, Enoch Mwamba.
Boy, that's big. That was a big hit. That was the East Coast hit right there. Watch number 10, left of your screen. He's just trying to dump it down because the pocket was collapsing. And
Some hard hitting in this game. Another case in point from a guy who's really excited to come back here to the Maritimes for a CFL game. He was also in Touchdown Atlantic when he was with Montreal against the Argos 3 years ago in Moncton. As that one rolls out of bounds. Argo football and Argo lead. And just a beautiful day here in the Annapolis Valley. Nova Scotia. Touchdown Atlantic, third quarter. Andrew Harris now 8 yards away from catching Milt Stegall in the yards from scrimmage race, and it'll bump 85 down a notch, and he's accepted it now, as you can see.
Yeah, well, you know what? He might just go and see if he can find some shoulder pads. I think he could still maybe get a couple.
Yeah.
He could run one play.
Of course, if he's a lead add to the Riders team, I don't know how well the Bombers would like that. Well, there's a completion. And that's Devaris Daniels.
I have a question about Milt, though, like because we're here and all the great seafood and the lobster rolls and all of this stuff. Does Milt even eat seafood? Because I know he's like a lettuce guy, right? Like he eats lettuce.
Yeah, it's mostly lettuce.
Lettuce and carrots.
And Brussels sprouts.
Okay. Yeah.
Brought some into the studio a few years ago. And
I tell you what, it worked for him. Yeah. It worked for him at 15,000 plus.
Yeah, he is certainly not a fan of red meat. They were complaining about, well, whatever the catering was in the for a long day they had in a doubleheader, and he didn't eat.
Is he on the phone with someone? Are we interrupting his day?
Maybe he's deliberately distracting himself because 33 is getting close.
Closing in.
8 yards.
Think about that for a second. Yeah. You know, think about it, Rod. Seriously. 10,000 yards rushing, he's approaching. You know, when you look at the numbers from yards from scrimmage, combined yards, passing Milt Stegall to get into that elite group. I mean, we're talking about the over 100-year history of this game. And this young man who played junior football in Vancouver.
Second and 5. Let's get it.
Worked his way into the Lions.
Alert zero. Hey, you're
got a chance to go home and play for his Bombers. You know, I mean, it is quite the story, and good for Andrew Harris. Elite company.
Absolutely. I mean, as you say, closing in on 10,000 rushing alone and 15,201 and 8 yards shy of Milt Stegall for yards from scrimmage. Mike Adams saw going off the field here on this 2nd and 5, and no, falls incomplete. So Toronto will have to punt it away. A flag is out, however, and
this could be the hat trick. We'll see. Or is it a holding call? Yeah, no question. That's the second holding call, I believe, for Isaiah Cage.
Toronto, number 66. That penalty's declined. Third down.
That's the first game this season for Isaiah Cage. He had been injured. And a second holding call declined. So the Argos to punt it. They do have the 20-14 lead now.
Please run down the field.
Whistled down before Haggerty could get it away.
Procedure. Toronto, number 43. 5-yard penalty remains third down.
So that does put the Argos backwards to the original line of scrimmage where that started after 20. And so Haggerty is back down around the 5. And Mario Alford, the new kick return specialist for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, is standing at the Riders 35. Alford pushed back and a good punt by Haggerty inside the 30. And he's taken down just across the 35. So what's Milt Stegall doing?
Well, I think he's going to get the pads. He's going to race somebody. Look at him go.
Oh,
he's going to get the pads on and try to pad his lead.
Milt. Close. That's Anthony Lanier and Enoch Mwamba, their opponents now, but they've both been enjoying being down in the Maritimes. Let's go back to Matthew.
Well, if you're down in the Maritimes, Rod, what are you going to do, especially in southwestern Nova Scotia? You're going to go for lobster. Now, dumping day, which is the traditional day to start the season for lobster fishing, is in the out of November. It is July, and Lanier and Mwamba did go out and tried to grab some lobster. They went out early because you have to go out early, and Enoch said, listen, it was tough for me and Anthony, some of the Argonauts who came out there, and I cannot confirm, he said, whether or not we caught any. So even though they're holding some lobsters, because remember I said lobster season is at the end of November, runs through I believe until the end of May. They did have fun though, early morning on the water at Sambro Fisheries, just an hour outside Peggy's Cove. Great time, guys.
So however many we caught, we'll call that competition a tie, I guess. Between Lanier and Enoch. Cody Fajardo completing that one to Bruno LaBelle, his first catch of touchdown Atlantic.
Yeah, I do know a little about fishing. It's part of something I love to do, and I know that Enoch Mwamba, that the lobsters don't come out of the trap with elastics around
I was going to say.
But look at a pretty good career that Enoch Mwamba is putting together for himself. I mean, St. FX product, he knows this area and this region, knows how important this game is for young kids playing minor football in this area. And boy, I hope we can continue it to a point where we have a 10th franchise out here.
Absolutely. And Fajardo's going nowhere after that play fake. He's taken down by Jamal Peters back at the 40. They're chasing after a loose ball, but it's blown dead. Still Saskatchewan football, but Fajardo is sacked.
Yeah, there was an issue on the execution of this play. There's a lot of moving parts here. There's a fly sweep guy that's behind. You see, it was Frankie Hickson. I almost said Jamal Morrow. It was Frankie Hickson in there. And the timing was off on that fake. It looked like it was going to be a play action fake. And the lobster fishermen liked every minute of that.
And so Morrow is back in there, standing beside Fajardo. On the 2nd and 17 after that loss in the sack, stepping up. Shane Ray trying to get him, but he gets it away and a flag comes out. Swinging that, it went out for Morrow that went incomplete and out of bounds. And now we got more of this. Ray is in the middle of it too. He was bearing down on Cody Fajardo. And that's Evan Johnson and Ray, the focal points in the middle of that scrum.
Well, at least the good news is they broke it up, and it didn't extend much longer than a few seconds. But let's see what the original penalty was.
He'd gotten rid of the ball, and he took him down.
Remember when Matthew, on that report in the first half, mentioned that coaching staff for Saskatchewan got after their O-line, trying to keep protecting him. I think this is going to be Shane Ray on a late hit after Cody had thrown the ball. But again, in fairness to Shane Ray here, he's in pursuit thinking Cody Fajardo is a runner at that point. So, that changes the dynamic. You get protection in the pocket, but now he's potentially a runner.
Illegal forward pass. Saskatchewan number 7 was over the line of scrimmage when he threw the ball. We also have roughing the passer on Toronto number 5. We have 2 post-play misconduct penalties. Toronto number 5, Saskatchewan number 64.
So Evan Johnson can't get another one, and neither can Shane Ray, or else they'll be disqualified from the rest of the game. It's a new rule this year.
And to your point about Fajardo, obviously got penalized since he was over the line of scrimmage and a running back effectively for Ray, but I guess the takedown was just too late. And then it's the roughing the passer.
Yeah, but you'd never see that called as an unnecessary roughness on a tailback. I mean, he threw it past the line of scrimmage.
But he'd gotten rid of the ball, though, right? I guess, is that the argument?
But he doesn't have the same protection he does in the pocket. That's what I'm saying, and that's what I think Dinwiddie is arguing.
So after they sort all that out, it is a first down for Saskatchewan up near midfield. A 6-point difference. The Argos leading it 20-14. Andrew Harris 8 yards away from Milt Stiegel and yards from scrimmage. We've been tracking that.
By the way, that is the hat trick.
And that is the one.
That's 3 now at this street.
So no more. We'll see. Fajardo. Oh. Threads that one in nicely for McInnes. Picks up about 5 yards for Saskatchewan. Second down.
You know, Ron, I think, Jason Moss has probably got to go to quick game. Every time that Cody Fajardo gets up, he's getting up slower and slower each time. All of these hits are taking their toll, and now one way to avoid those hits is quick game, where the OC comes in.
2nd and 5, just over midfield. Fajardo standing in, stepping up, and throwing a deep ball down to the end zone for Keane Schaefer-Baker. He got a hand on it. He takes a little kick from Richardson, who was in there on the coverage, and so that sets up a 3rd down for Saskatchewan.
Jack Richardson gets one. It's inside receiver, though. So we usually see Keon Schaefer-Baker out at that wideout spot, but clearly this was sort of a hesitation move that didn't fool Shaq Richardson. Tell you what, they looked a lot faster than Milt Stiegel running down this track. I don't know about that.
I wonder if Milt heard you that time. He may have. Corey Vedvik to punt it away for the Riders. Dejon Brissett on the return. Picks up 3 or 4 yards on that, and back comes the Argo offense on the field. And Andrew Harris. Yardage so far, 13 carries, 38 yards. This is very light by his standards, and does not have a catch. And he's coming off his best game as an Argo in that game against Winnipeg that had to be very emotional for him. And he played well, too.
Yeah, and then told us right away we didn't get the win.
Which is all that mattered to him.
Yeah.
They were close to at least forcing overtime. So Harris has the ball. Wow. It's been tough sledding for Andrew Harris.
It is, but that spin move, again, the timing on how you do that, and if there's a young running backs watching today, work on your timing on this, because he gets the ball, gets to the outside. If he turns too early, he gets hit right in the back, but he times it just right, so Darnell Sankey loses his angle, and he gets an extra 3.
He has a lot of tricks as a veteran running back, picking up yardage, but it's a 2nd and long, and they complete it to it. Gittens up across the Argo 35. Another completion for Bethel Thompson, who's now 18 of 25, and another first down Toronto.
I think we're close to being able to say, and there's, he's accumulated 165 yards coming in, and that's, I know he wants to add to that, but Curly Gittens is having a breakout season.
Really is.
I really think this is his year. He can get to 1,000.
1st and 10. Toronto up at the 37. And it's getting late in the 3rd quarter now. Bethel Thompson to Harris. Yardage from the line of scrimmage, and that's it. Hurdles for a little bit more on his first catch of this game. But that will do it. And put him by our friend and colleague, Milt Stiegel, on that list, moving up the ladder. And doing it in style here.
Does he ever? How about this to pass still? Milt, I'm going to hurdle past Milt. And there it is.
Hurdles.
15,222.
Literally does hurdle over top. The great Milt Stiegel to get up to 15,222 and counting for Andrew Harris. And no time to enjoy it. Gets it, and have a yard taken off, and flags coming down. Lanier in there, and tempers are flaring.
Allen is going to get called here for a late hit, I believe, unless he was provoked by something. Right tackle. Here's the moment, though. That was a play before. Up, over, and past.
Player misconduct fouls, post play, Toronto 59, Saskatchewan 91. Offset.
So Dejon Allen, the right tackle for the Argos, and Anthony Lanier. That was after the play.
You know, I will say that, you know, that some of this late stuff and stuff after the whistle.
Lanier comes off. I understand Milt's gone. I think he's gone to put the pads on. From the Toronto 54. Late in the third quarter. That was a hot one. Another high shotgun snap. And Harris gets it and adds more to his total. But that's a third down, too. And Haggerty, the punter, will be on for Toronto on what should be the final play of this third quarter.
Third down.
Make a little CFL history. As he moves up and into elite company.
Real quick.
Haggerty, Nargo 50. Down deep and taking it on the run. There's Mario Alford on the return for Saskatchewan. Well, he's hurdled one great, and he could be hurdling more as his career continues. Andrew Harris moving up the charts. Milt Stegall still moving, though. Winning races? Oh, that looked like a photo finish. We still haven't got a ruling on that. We do have a ruling on this, though. Harris, the Argos, nursing a 6-point lead. Well, great couple of days here in Nova Scotia, celebrating Touchdown Atlantic and celebrating the Navy as well, of course. Very important, this country especially in these parts. And Glenn and I were invited, and it was a thrill to get on board the HMCS Margaret Brooke on that boat, which is a patrol ship. The Arctic, only 1 year old, but it was great to see and get the tour.
Absolutely. Royal Navy Arctic and Offshore Patrol ship. Want to say a special thank you and just for the invite and all the hospitality to Rear Admiral Brian Santropia and Commander of the Maritime Forces Atlantic and Joint Task Force Atlantic. There's a shot of his crew, and Commanding Officer Nicole Robichaud, who also showed great hospitality. Thank you to the men and women in the Navy, Army, all of our forces. It was quite impressive. Brand new ship in the Canadian Royal Navy.
And built just in the Halifax shipyard nearby. Deep ball for Fajardo to start this fourth quarter. He wanted Duke Williams, who wants a call.
And just one little tie-in, which really interesting. You mentioned the HMCS Margaret Brooke, which is the name of the ship. That Margaret Brooke was a sub-lieutenant, the Royal Canadian Navy nursing sister during World War II, and a Canadian hero. She was from Saskatchewan.
Right from Regina, and awarded and honored too with their name in the vessel. But you're right, and it's a nice tie-in to the Roughriders being here playing in Touchdown Atlantic as well. So that long one incomplete, and they've got Fajardo, but a flag comes out as he is wrapped up. The pressure coming on that Argo defense, and that's Jagarrett Davis.
Holding Saskatchewan, number 64. That penalty's declined. Third down.
Evan Johnson called for the hold, but regardless, they have to punt the football away and deep from their own zone.
Yeah, Jagarrett Davis moved inside. Nice swim move on Evan Johnson, and Johnson grabbed him around the waist. You see, upset with himself there. So that'll be declined, and the Rhinos have to punt from their own end zone.
Corey Vedvik standing inside that Saskatchewan end zone now. to start the fourth quarter. The Riders go 2 and out. Taken on the move now by Dejean Brissett. As he runs across the field, gets taken down at the Toronto 43. But this is a town, Wolfville, of 4,000 and 10,000 fans, many coming from, well, all parts, Nova Scotia, but from further than that too, from Saskatchewan. And it's just a great sight to see. You look at that beautiful backdrop and look at all the green and white we see. Of course, Riders get well represented. We've said this many times, wherever they go in the CFL. And the Maritimes, no exception.
Ton of fun. Thank you, Wolfville. Thank you,
absolutely,
Halifax, all of Eastern Canada, all of Atlantic Canada, for your hospitality. It has been unbelievable.
Terrific job hosting this game. That's completed. Bethel Thompson.
And we got to finish.
You know what? When I see 6 points, the way these games have gone so far, I mean, you had Edmonton against Montreal in the second half. It was at 31-12, and I'm assuming close finishes the way things have been going now.
The game will deliver. You see it time and time again.
Sure has.
Last night's was a exciting football game down the wire. Absolutely.
You know, and delivering as billed too, with a couple of unbeatens. Winnipeg going to 6-0. Second and short now. Faking to Harris, swinging it out to Markeith Ambles, gets to midfield, gets a first down for Toronto. And despite the difference in East and West in terms of record, it's a difficult argument which teams need it more, just because it's so competitive in the West Division.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what it also does in the divisions remaining the way they are, with the crossover to take care of that playoff issue. That third place team in the East doesn't have as many points as the fourth place team in the West, and the fourth place team gets in.
Over to Gittins again, taken down there by Larry Dean and Derek Moncrief.
But what it does is it keeps both close. I mean, you know, every team in the East is right there for the fight for not only the playoffs, but the division. Right? So they've got off to a slow start, there's no question. And the schedule worked out that way, where they were playing against Western opponents a ton in the first 4 weeks of the season. So, you know, I still love the format, love the crossover, that's part of it. The East has got to get a win to start to see if one of those teams can pull away, and we'll have Ottawa Hamilton right after this one.
Two teams still looking for win number 1. That's part 2 of the doubleheader coming up. With lots of time, Bethel Thompson. Oh, a deep ball for Gittins, and it just is a bit high. And
yeah, Bethel Thompson
laments that.
Yeah. That was a throw that he's lucky that Gittins just knocked it down, because that could have been trouble for the Argos in the interception category. And McLeod Bethel Thompson, as soon as it left his hands, he knew it.
And Jeremy Clark too. You could see him react after Gittins basically made a defensive move there.
So the roller coaster just went down
a
little dip there.
Haggerty, the punted for the Argos. And Alford takes a knee in the end zone, put one more point on the board, but better field position. Haggerty wanted to hem them deep. So it's now a 7-point lead for the Argos. Touchdown Atlantic. Lots of time.
Welcome back to Nova Scotia, and let's take a look at this big man coming out of the tunnel back in his days at Queens. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Rod Smith to the 81 Atlantic Bowl, my friend.
Yeah, now thankfully, I don't think when I see our defense, our poor defense that day, had a number of great players, but the Axemen were so good. They had a big fullback there. Larry Priestno was the MVP of the game, and he did run wild. And I am glad. I got some friends saying, well, what are some of the highlights of you missing a block? I'm glad they weren't mercifully shown, because we had a tough day. Had a good team, but that Axeman team was good. They won. They went on to win the Vanier that year, and that was the second time in 3 years. You know, that was a few pounds ago too, and normally it's the other way. Normally, be talking to someone saying, "Oh, I was pretty big then," but you know, probably lighter than playing tackle. That was the last game I played. That was my final game.
So you were a tackle, and how was your set? How was your set? Like, would you play right or left side?
I played right side.
You played right tackle?
Yeah, I did.
Who was your toughest guy to block?
You know what? I can't remember his name that played for Acadia, but quite honestly, quite honestly, they had such a good athletic defense. That was my memories of them, of just how good they were, and they went on to face the defending champion Alberta Golden Bears in the Vanier Cup, and Acadia won a close one, 18-12. They were coached by a future Argo coach, John Heward, who ended up coaching in the CFL briefly about 20 years after that. But they had beaten Western in '79, 2 years later, and real high points for the Acadia Axemen football program.
Well, it's a great program. Over 3,500 full-time undergrad students here at Acadia.
With a hand up too, and coming down with it, the rookie Samuel Emelis.
We want to thank Acadia University putting on this, and how about Emelis putting on a little show here with a straight go route. Gets in that pocket between the deep defender and the underneath guy, and goes up and makes a nice catch to protect the ball.
Gain of 27 yards. Cody Fajardo to Samuel Emelis, getting the start in this game with the injuries they've had at receiver. So here we go on a 1st and 10. Riders are down a touchdown, but they're in business now. From the 32 of Toronto, Fajardo throwing again, completing to Duke Williams. Touchdown Saskatchewan and touchdown Atlanta.
And a souvenir for some outstanding East Coast Canadian football fans.
And look at that celebration.
I'll tell you what, it opens up nicely. A little swing pass for Cody Fajardo to just get the attention of the defenders, and that post route, a shallow post run well by Duke Williams, hits him in stride, untouched, to the end zone to take the lead.
And Brett Lother is in to tie this game.
Yeah, I should say to tie the football game after the single.
Up and through from the pride of Truro here in Wolfville. And Duke Williams with the big touchdown for Saskatchewan, 32 yards. We got a game. We were never in doubt of that. Touchdown Atlantic, 4th quarter. Duke Williams celebrating on the Riders sideline after the touchdown that's led to a tie game.
Yeah, take a look at Cody Fajardo on that inside throw. But, you know, defense is all about indicators, and defensive backs are trying to read the quarterback to get a jump on the direction he might throw. And Cody Fajardo with his shoulders threw off the defense.
We gonna hold it down for you. Oh, damn, you know I got you.
And that's the 3rd touchdown of the season for Duke Williams. Big one, too, approaching the midway point of this 4th quarter. It's going quickly. On the return, Brissett still dancing around. Dejon Brissett gets up across the 40. And back to McLeod Bethel Thompson and the Argo offense.
Let me show you what I mean. Here's Cody Fajardo now. Go ahead and run it, guys. As he gets the ball in his hands, I want to show you his shoulder pads and where he's aiming and his aiming point. Stop it right now. So here's his aiming point right here. The indicators are that he wants to throw it in that area. Where he's actually going to throw it is right there. And because of that, the defensive back is caught off guard. It looks like he's going to throw it outside the hash. He goes right over the middle to Duke Williams.
Nice maritime celebration. Saskatchewan in a tie game. Bethel Thompson and off to the near side of the field. That falls incomplete. 2nd down. Brandon Banks, the intended receiver.
It just isn't quite there between Bethel Thompson and Brandon Banks. And, you know, I still think he's got the speed. I still think he can run. Certainly has the hands, although that one may have come up with that one, you know, in his 9 of 10 times, but they're just not on the same page.
8 targets for Banks, 2 catches.
Yeah, it's not there.
They had trouble with chemistry early on against Winnipeg. The last time they played too early in that game. Over the middle, it's high for Ambles, and too high. Falls down, and just like that, 2 and out for the Argos.
Larry Dean is a linebacker, and linebackers think hit first, interception second. That's their order. Free safeties and DBs say interception first, hit second. And Larry Dean may have had an interception if he thought like a DB thinks, but he broke down on the receiver, and the ball just fluttered by him.
Been a great addition to that Rider defense, Dean. Haggerty with Alford back for it. Heads right, takes it on the fly and gets it up to the 25. A touchdown Atlantic. Wolfville, Nova Scotia. Good collegiate atmosphere too. All sorts of fans having fun from the Argos, from the Riders. Enjoying some maritime hospitality. Yes, the Lathers as well. Touchdown Atlantic has been a success, and it is winding down, and it is still up in the air in terms of an outcome of the Argos and the Riders. Tied 21-21 midway through the 4th quarter. Cody Fajardo. A deep ball, an open receiver is Kean Schaefer-Baker. And like the Argos were doing earlier, Fajardo's been airing it out with success. Big first down inside the Toronto 35.
Schaefer-Baker at the top of the route is a great actor here. He does not give McFadden any indication that the ball is about to arrive, and at the last second he just bananas that route into the middle towards the hash mark and catches it on the run. I mean, great acting to not give away the ball was in the air.
Gain of 44 yards, Saskatchewan. The game back to tie it. Now looking to take the lead and get a little closer to that Argo end zone, but Morrow doesn't have much to show for that carry.
Well, Schaefer-Baker is going to, at the top of this route, bend it in, but he doesn't give it away. He's a wide receiver back to that spot. This is a soft cushion, little hesitation. Watch him bend it in now. Bend it back inside and go and get it.
And that was just the 3rd touch in the ensuing play after that big one by Schaefer-Baker for Jamal Morrow. And a gain of just a couple of yards, so 2nd and 8. Fajardo. 4-man rush, steps up, completes it. Another first down, Duke Williams with the touchdown on the previous drive. A 4-play drive that he capped off. That one down inside the 25.
Okay, so young East Coast football players, flag football players, high school football players. If you're a receiver, come back to the ball like Duke just showed you right here. Keep coming back to the ball. You don't know if that DB is right behind you or not. If you keep coming back, you take it. There were 3 riders over there, and Duke Williams said, I'm coming back to get it.
He's been targeted 5 times. He's caught 3 for 62 yards, including the touchdown. A 32-yarder moments ago. Swinging it out now, and that one is dropped. Emelis could not hang on to it. 2nd down.
I'll tell you what, here's Guelph. Schaefer-Baker came into this game for the Riders as their leading receiver in basically all categories. Targets, catches, most yards, most TDs with 3. Canadian receiving leaders right up there at top, and he's pulling away early in this season.
Great story. Went very low in the draft. Surprised many. Saskatchewan picking up him with a pick that they got from the Argos in a deal for Zach Collaros back in 2019. And that one, just a little in behind Jamal Morrow, who has had a quieter second half than a first half that was very productive. So third down, but field goal range.
Yeah, question for me there, Rod, was that a lateral? Because
looked close.
Yeah, it looked close. Fajardo was moving forward, but I think it went straight out of bounds anyway.
Jagarrett Davis is the injured Argo, as the field goal unit, Brett Lawther, is on to attempt to give the Saskatchewan Roughriders the lead. And the feud between Duke Williams and Shaq Richardson that started before the game, with Williams throwing a helmet at Richardson, and then lots of talk continuing. Here's the latest. Richardson comes on and punches Williams.
Williams said something. Richardson gets the punch. You know, I was going to say earlier on in the game that this stuff after the whistle is not the showcase that the league wants.
And Richardson,
none of that is.
And frustration had gone to the Argos sideline and drilled his helmet down.
Yeah.
And teammates trying to settle him down.
But here's, you know, when you go back to what happened in Saskatchewan this last week and Garrett Marino, and you add that all up, there was a 2-game suspension for the hit on Jeremiah Masoli. It was 1 game for a hit earlier on an offensive lineman. This was earlier in the day. And then there was 1 for something said on the field. There was no disqualification for that incident in warm-up. And I'm just going to basically lay it on the line. Until the CFL and the CFLPA get much tougher on the supplemental discipline, this stuff is going to continue. So, look, 2 games for a late low hit on a quarterback is not changing the behavior any longer. It needs to be 4. It needs to be 5. The PA needs to get involved in that. We need to cut that stuff out. It looks bad in what has been a fantastic afternoon.
32-yard try to put the Riders back in the lead from Brett Lawther, who pumps it through. And that's a 3-point lead for Saskatchewan after they were down by 7. So that's the feel-good part of the story, but you're right, there is the flip side on this showcase event, but that's not part of the showcase. The fighting, helmet throwing, punching that they want to show.
Yeah, and you know what? It's going to cost the team to get a game. You've got 1 possession game. We have a 3-point game. And taking that personal agenda. And hey, listen, both players are great players. And I understand how tough it is to stay on the right side of that line. It's tough. But championship football is disciplined football. And if they want to be champions, they got to do that. And that stuff isn't it.
And you're right. This game's still very much in doubt. Bethel Thompson back to work wide open. Big first down. Argos responding after falling behind as Tavares Daniels a little frustrated. He tried to get his foot back there after being tackled and trying to get up.
4 receivers. The wide side and see what happened at the end.
So Derek Moncrief taking him down and hanging on for a little while. To the frustration of Daniels. A big gain down to the Saskatchewan 36. 1st and 10. Argos trailing again. They trailed early first quarter 4-0 and then took the lead and didn't relinquish it until a few moments ago. And now Moncrief with some words for the Argo bench as he is getting a little escort off the field. Coming in for him is Nelson Lacombo. But there is on what's been a beautiful day in so many ways, a whole lot of anger and frustration too from these sides. There's a game to be won here. 3:43 on the clock. Could go to either team. Argos down 3. 1st and 10. Bethel Thompson. He's looking near the end zone. No. And his His target was once again Brandon Banks.
I think Brandon Banks wants Ryan Dinwiddie to challenge for pass interference. That's his signal. He's up at the top of your screen. He runs a corner route.
Defensive pass interference on the previous play. We'll review the play.
Well, I don't see it. I don't see it. I've disagreed 3 times on hits on quarterbacks. We'll see what happens here. But I'll tell you what, I don't see any interference there.
And Banks, after asking for the challenge, limping off the field.
Yeah, see, Banks signaled. You know, the signal, you can't gesture to throw a flag. So the players have their own signals, and right after this and Banks went down, he touched the top of his head to indicate to Ryan Dinwiddie that he thinks he should challenge for pass interference. I think Dinwiddie looked at his player and said, okay, I'll trust you, and he did that. I don't see any interference. Now, we haven't looked at all the angles.
They're still giving it a look.
Now, here's another angle. I don't see anything there at all. No, there's no pass interference there.
Still waiting here in the command center review. Dave Foxcroft, the referee. With the ball at the Saskatchewan 36. And they have made a decision. And here it is. No, they were going to announce something, and now there's a further discussion here with Dave Foxcroft and Craig Dickinson.
Oh, listen, the Canadian Football League and
after review, the ruling on the field stands. There is no defensive pass interference. It'll be second down. Toronto is charged with the timeout and has no more challenges.
So we can say you're in agreement.
Yeah, yeah, we got one. No, the league has done a really nice job preparing this stadium and building the infrastructure to get 10,000 fans in here and all of that. And there was a communication gap. That's why there was a delay there.
So from just outside the 35, it is 2nd and 10. Bethel Thompson had a man in his face, and he got it away, and he did complete it to Andrew Harris, who backs his way over inside the 35, but not much there, and it'll be a field goal situation now for Boris Beatty.
Well, a chance for a very similar situation in the Argos' last game. It was an extra point, not a field goal to tie. But I can guarantee you those self-doubt thoughts are entering Boris Beatty's head right now as he goes through his routine.
2 for 2 in the field goal department in this game. A big field goal try here for Beatty. And he puts it up and he misses. Wide to the left for Beatty. And we 3-minute warning when the Argos had a chance to tie this game.
3-minute warning.
Peggy's Cove boat tours and a football game going on as well. Not over yet. 24-22.
All right, don't forget, after this game, we will wrap up Week 6 in Hamilton. The Tiger Cats taking on the Ottawa Red Blacks. Good news, one of those two teams will finally get a win. But first, let's get you back here in Wolfville for the end of the Argos and the Riders.
All right, Kate, and the Argos did have a chance to tie it. Boris Beatty must be haunted by recent kicks that he has tried and not made. For that one, they did get 1 point, but it's a 2-point Rider lead, and they have the ball. And Deshaun Amos is coming in right after it goes into the hands of Jacob Prahl.
Well, this is an opportunity for the Argo defense to bail out their kicker. I mean, this is going to be back-to-back games if they can get it done, because Beatty had a chance to tie it, missed the extra point, and lose to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He had a chance to tie it with a 43-yarder, missed it. Now that he's looking for his defense to bail him out.
2:22 in the clock and counting down. Riders looking to kill some clock. Fajardo. Intercepted Argos! Winton McManus! And the game turns on a dime. Touchdown Toronto.
Talk about bail him out. Yeah, they bailed him out. Still time on the clock. Lots of time in Canadian football, but the Argos take the lead because their defense bails out the kicker. Winton McManus from that linebacking spot just real subtly floated outside. Got underneath the throw to Jacob Prahl.
Started in the CFL with Calgary, came over to Toronto, and he's been one of the best defensive players for the Argos. He leads them in total tackles. He had 2 quarterback sacks coming into this game, and now 1 huge interception. 49-yard return for Winton McManus that has put Toronto back in front, as they will go for 2 and see if they can extend it to 6 points. Faking the handoff, Bethel Thompson into the end zone, and they do get the 2-point conversion to Brandon Banks. So all of a sudden, it's Toronto, after that missed field goal that would have tied it, in a perilous situation, getting a pick 6 to lead now by 6.
Baby, I love you.
Winton McManus, their leader, 23 defensive tackles. That led their team coming in after 3 games. A couple of sacks led their team after 3 games. And this interception here is outstanding because of the timing of it. And you get out in that final 3 minutes, Saskatchewan wants to just kill the lead. He lets one go and then slides underneath that second outside curl. And Winton McManus takes it to the house. Yeah, I don't think Cody Fajardo expected the linebacker to be that wide. It's called playing the play.
And with that, 15 points off turnovers for Toronto in this game. They scored a touchdown after a interception earlier thrown by Cody Fajardo.
Well, maybe this is a good sign for Argo fans that number 16 is starting to get on the same page as Bethel Thompson. They go chat, talk it over. I'll tell you who feels better than anybody on that double blue sideline right now is Boris Beatty.
You bet. They did bail him out with that one, as you talked about, and off the kickoff now. 2:06 on the clock. The return by Mario Alford. Turns the corner, gets a block. Flags come down on that block, however. More finger pointing and discussing between these two teams.
Yeah, this is going to be on Jordan Beaulieu. He's coming back and going towards his own end.
Major foul, blindside block, Saskatchewan, number 24. 15-yard penalty, first down, Saskatchewan. Same thing.
Jordan Beaulieu, and frustrated with that, but you're right, and you could see that coming into our screen as he turned the corner.
Yeah, and it was right in front of our location, and it coming all the way back. You can't go back towards your end on a blindside block. And you'll see him come back towards his own end.
Gets Robert Priester there.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. That's not just this year.
I was going to say though, a few years ago,
yeah,
that
exactly.
used to be considered a clean play, and then with the injuries, getting rid of it. So a penalty negating a good return by Alford, and back at around the 15, completing that one Fajardo to Duke Williams and quickly up to the 30.
Plenty of time. Really don't have to deviate too much from the offense, except you are going to throw just a little bit more than you would. 8 career game-winning drives from number 7. Can he make it 9?
Bit of another classic CFL finish here at Touchdown Atlantic with the heat coming. Fajardo wanted to get it away deep and then pulled it in and took off and took a hit as well as he is taken down up around the Saskatchewan 40.
Yeah, I think he wanted Duke Williams initially. Duke threw his hand up like he was going to be open down the seam. And Cody Fajardo thought about it. Pulled it down and got a first down on his own. Watch Duke. He puts his hand up.
First down from the 40. Over the middle, complete to Williams. Takes a step back and then takes several steps forward to get it up to the 50 and close to another Saskatchewan first down.
Leaning on Duke Williams on this drive. Over the middle. He was the primary, didn't get him the ball on that first play, but he was the primary receiver.
A second and less than a yard now. 1:02, 1 minute even on the clock. Saskatchewan ball, and yes, a first down up closer to midfield.
Well, I would say that the Atlantic Canada CFL fans are getting a pretty good show tonight.
Getting a pretty good taste of the kind of games we've seen a lot of so far this year, where it does seem like no lead is safe. And we've had a lot of them come down to the final minutes, and we've got it happening again here in a 6-point game. Robbie Smith coming in, fought off a block, and Smith takes down Fajardo. A big sack for the Argo defense back at the Rider 45.
Take a look at 3-man pressure. This is why Fajardo felt like he had more time than he did, because there was only 3. He saw that pre-snap and thought, I got time to just hang out in here, but Robbie Smith went all the way around the edge and got there.
And that is the 5th sack by the Argos. The Riders, who lead the CFL in sacks by far, don't have any. However, when you look at who the Riders have been missing in this game, with no Pete Robertson, no Garrett Marino, suspended of course, and no AC Leonard. We found out about that before the game. So a +5 differential for the Argos in the sack department would normally be a bigger surprise, when considering who was out for Saskatchewan.
Don't need all the yards for the first down on this play. You're going to go 3 downs.
2nd and 16.
Take a shot.
Big shot, a bit high, intercepted. And it is Shaq Richardson with the ball. It fell into his hands, bobbled. He hung on, he got up. And his teammates firing him up, but it's kind of a mixed bag in this game, with the incidents with Duke Williams, the frustration heading off the field, but that'll make him feel a whole lot better as this puts Touchdown Atlantic away. The flag is down, but it is Argo football as they can seal this one up.
Player misconduct, Toronto, number 3. That's his 2nd player misconduct penalty, and he's disqualified from the ball game.
So Jamal Peters out of the game now, a game that has 27 seconds left in the 4th quarter.
Intended target on a little stop and go route. Ball just high, and Shaq Richardson on his back gets the tip. Penalty is much later. Jamal Peters getting thrown out, that was much later. It was a hit when the play was well over. Again, there'll be supplemental discipline there, I'm sure. Toronto Argonauts 1 and 2 coming in.
just down the ball now. Been a very rough start to this CFL season for the East Division.
Well, it adds a little sense of urgency to the next game coming up, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
For both those guys.
Between the Red Blacks and the Ticats, part 2 of the doubleheader.
Yeah, the ball just a little high from Fajardo here, and anytime a receiver tips it up, you give him a chance. I know they're going for the one-hand catch. Well, that one a little out of the reach. And Shaq Richardson, who's been in it all game long with Duke Williams, he gets final say, I guess.
Victory formation. Victory for the Argos. Was mentioning wins are hard to come by for the East. Toronto went a little further east to get win number 2.
Thank you, Wolfville. Thank you, Acadia University. Thank you, Halifax and all of Atlantic Canada for your hospitality. What a fantastic couple of days.
Couldn't say it better myself, my friend.
The CFL put on a show for you, but you guys were the show these last couple of days. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you, all the fans trekking in to Wolfville to enjoy this game, a game that was more enjoyable for McLeod Bethel Thompson and the Toronto Argonauts, and hinging on a late interception for a touchdown by Winton McManus when it looked like the Riders might be able to put it away. And so with that, the Argos first in the East at 2-3, with part 2 of the doubleheader coming up from Hamilton as we go downstairs here at Raymond Field and rejoin Kate Burness.
All right, Rod, on TSN 1 and 3, we're going to get you over to Hamilton now for the conclusion of Week 6 in the CFL. It is the Tiger Cats taking on the Ottawa Red Blacks. But over on TSN 4, it is time for SportsCenter and all your highlights from Touchdown Atlantic.